I'll mute for my next one.
Thank you. We're on the record in the matter of Robert Van Gilder versus Scott Ash, file number 22-02385 LT. State your name for the record.
What's that?
State your name, please.
Robert Van Gilder.
And your name?
Scott Ash.
Both of you proceeding present in the court without counsel. Today was the date and time set for a hearing on termination of tenancy. And you own this property?
Yes,
What's the address?
106 East Everdale.
Okay, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, and so do you have any, this is your tenant?
No,
How do you know him?
I don't really know. I knew him. He used to live next door. He used to live in the house next door. Then he broke into my house, changed the locks and went on.
So you're saying he's a squatter?
Yeah, he's a squatter.
How long has he been in the property?
A long time, 2 years.
Squatted for 2 years. Ever paid any rent or
No.
bills? Is there utilities on the property? Or do you not know? Okay. So you've not been able to get access to the property
No,
for 2
he
years?
won't let me in.
Okay, and so you go by the name Bob sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay, did you ever ask him to let you in the property?
Oh, yeah. I've
Oh,
called the
oh.
cops on him twice trying to get in.
Got it, okay. And so how did you find out what his name was?
Oh. Huh? Yeah, it was Glenn. It was a
Who's
friend of his.
Glenn?
A mutual friend of ours.
Did you ever have tenants in there or was it vacant?
It was vacant.
Okay. So are there locks on the door?
Yeah,
Okay, so did you put the lock on the door?
not the locks that are on there now.
Oh, so the locks on the door are not locks that you put there, okay. And you don't know if there's utilities?
No,
Do you have any proof or evidence to indicate or to support your claim today? Any that you would present to the court, other than your testimony, that is?
that's it.
Okay. Were you plan to call any witnesses today? Is she a witness or something?
No, it's really pretty cut and dry. I wanted him to leave.
Okay. All right, it's your turn.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You say you reside in the property of 106 East. Is it Everettdale?
That's correct.
That's in Lansing, Ingham County?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you resided there?
Along over 2 years.
Okay, how did you get into this property?
I was living at the house next door, and Mr. Van Gilder, he seen me. We had trouble with the 4 people that were living there before myself. I don't remember their names, but there was a couple, a guy.
Well,
and
how do you
another.
know he was having trouble? You don't know him, correct?
I worked with Mr. Jeffrey Clark that was living there for a little bit with the other people. They weren't the quietest of neighbors.
Jeffrey Clark,
He had his truck numerous times out in the front of the house.
he was the resident, you saying, of this address before?
I had current address with mail with his name on it, that there, yes.
Yeah, okay, so he lived there before you lived there,
Yes.
and you worked with him how?
Glenn.
With Glenn, and who's Glenn?
Glenn is one of our people that we know because we do side jobs.
Okay, what kind of side jobs?
Remodeling, just cleaning, yard work,
So
mowing
you were working
lawns.
with Glenn and Jeffrey. Jeffrey was residing in the property?
We had gone for a quote for doing a remodel on a house, and Jeffrey showed up and I met him because he was supposed to do the siding or the flooring, something with the house, and the contract fell through, and I never seen him again until he just ended up showing up with his white truck next door.
How did you end up living in this property?
He was kind of frantic. Mr. Van Gilder here was kind of frantic. He seen me.
How do you know? You say you don't know him.
I didn't. I just.
How do you know he's frantic then?
Because his voice was like pinched, like he was kind of, not pinched, but upset, wild.
Oh, you had a conversation with him,
He just asked me, can you get me in this house?
but you were already living there at the
No.
time, no?
No.
You were,
I was a resident of the neighborhood.
so you were living next door and you met or spoke to Mr. Van Gilder in person?
He just asked me if I could get him in the house.
Well, the question I asked was very specific. Did you speak to him in person on this date?
Yes,
Okay, and so when I asked you, have you ever seen him before? You told me you did not.
before that day, no.
Before what day?
Before the day,
But I didn't ask you, was it a date before? I asked you, have you ever seen him before? And you said no.
before today, yes,
Okay, so you've had a conversation with him before
yes.
to try to get access to the property.
This last time when the cops came over, he asked me I come in and I told him no. Correct. But he has been in the house a couple times before the police were involved.
What makes you think you have a lawful right to be in this property?
I don't. I just want it to be done.
Okay, well then get your stuff out and give him the keys.
I need at least 11 days, 10 days, a month, because I've got my life in that house and
Are there utilities in this
Yes.
property? Whose name are the utilities on?
they're in mine.
Okay, so you moved into this property, you don't pay any rent, you don't even know who owns the property, and you turn the utilities onto your name?
Yes.
Okay, and so there's running water in this property
Yes.
and there's heat?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna grant possession in favor of the plaintiff. He's indicating that he just wants it to be over with and he have a lawful reason to be in the property. I was just wondering how he got there in the first place. Writ date will be 10 days.
Thank you.
We'll give you some paperwork that you can complete so that you'll be able to request a writ on the writ date. Do you have any questions today? You gotta say it so she can hear it.
No,
Thank you. Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set. We'll get you paperwork in just a moment. Thank you. We're on the record in the matter of Santos Hernandez versus Travis McMillan, file number 22-03332 LT. Council appearance. There's no counsel. Mr. Hernandez, you're representing yourself today? You're muted.
Oh, yeah, do you hear me now?
I can hear you, sir. State your
Okay.
name for the record, sir.
My name is Santos Hernandez.
Thank you. And sir, what is your name?
Travis McMillan.
Okay, and you don't have an attorney either?
No,
Okay, today was the date that we continued the hearing on this matter. First and foremost, the court ordered that you remove the vehicle that was left on the property by the Tuesday following December 21st. Is that vehicle removed?
yes, and we didn't move it on Tuesday. I did it on Wednesday because we were having a problem with the tow trucks.
But it's been moved.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct, Mr. Hernandez?
Yeah, it's been moved.
Okay, is all your personal items out of the property?
Correct.
Okay, is that correct, Mr. Hernandez?
Yes,
Okay, and you did seek money damages on this? Is that what the amount that you were seeking was $1,800? Is that correct?
No,
uh,
no. May I speak for my husband? He has trouble speaking English sometimes, if it's okay.
Yes.
I'm Mrs.
Your name-
Hernandez,
You're Mrs. What's your first name, ma'am?
Maria Hernandez.
Thank you.
Yes, a property, things have been removed. He moves the vehicle, but he moved it a month later after he moved out.
Okay, but I ordered him on December 31st to remove it. And so it has been removed at this point, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and so you're saying because the property where was the property located on the vehicle?
it was in the parking lot.
Okay, and so was there any of his personal items inside the property?
No.
Okay.
And after,
So your position is that you think he should be liable for a whole nother month rent because he had a vehicle in the parking lot? Or the
no,
garage?
no, he got help from Sierra plan from April to September. And when September came, apparently it pays a month in advance. And we thought that September rent was just for September. So then it explained that it was for October. So then instead of owing that month, we are only charging for the month of November, because the last payment we got from Sarah was for September, and that covered for October. So the only thing we're asking for is the last month of November and a late fee of $50. So it's $650.
Requesting rent for the month of November, and what's the amount?
It's $650 for late fee.
$600 was the rent, and then $50 for the late fee?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Your Honor, no, they're not entitled to it. I would like to submit this to you right here, Your Honor.
What is that?
This is a letter directly from the husband rejecting the rent that I was gonna pay for the month of November. A direct letter that I would like you to read.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
can I say something? When
You
I
absolutely can.
rejected- Okay, thank you. When I rejected, it was for the month of October. He went to Salvation Army and was just gonna pay for October. But by that time, we had asked before, 2 months before, that we wanted the apartment, and the lease was over already. So that's why I
Right.
rejected. Yeah,
It says on here, sir. No, don't worry about it, Ms. Hernandez. It says on here that the reason why they didn't want to accept it because they already had a pending eviction.
And they wanted to give the apartment to somebody else.
Well, that's none of your business.
Exactly,
They,
yes,
they couldn't because you didn't move out.
exactly. And so when I tried to go to Salvation Army and get the money to give to them, they told me they did not want it. In fact, Maria told me to keep the money, to put my stuff in storage and vacate the premises. Because as you recall, Your Honor, on the eviction notice, they had said that I did not pay for the month of September.
Well, they're changing they've gotten their records clear. And they said that so that's not an issue anymore.
Okay,
They
right.
said that you were paid up for September and October, but you held over the property and you didn't vacate until, you didn't get all your stuff off there until December 31st. I think it's a bit of a semantics as to whether or not the property was vacant on December, but they're willing to only request $600 for the rent for the month of November, and they're entitled to it because you were still living in the property then.
But Your Honor, when I tried to offer the rent to them, they denied it. They told me they did not want it. And
But
that's what the
why?
note says.
But why did they say
They didn't give me a reason why.
No,
They said-
they did, because you just gave me this letter that tells you the reason why. You can take the
Exactly.
letter back. This tells you why they wouldn't take it. They didn't want to continue the agreement. There's a termination of tenancy. So they wanted to make sure that they wanted you to vacate. You had already gotten a notice to quit telling you to vacate the property back in June. So that's why they didn't want to, they don't want to accept the rent. And then you come in here and say, well, they're still accepting my rent. So we still have an agreement. So you can take that back.
But-
They're entitled to that money because you were still living there.
But I'm kind of confused, because they were saying that I didn't pay for the month of September.
Well,
My
they're not
rent-
saying that anymore.
Exactly. And so then that's why I asked them, I says, well, I will pay for the month of October. And that's the reason why I went down to the Salvation Army and I offered to pay them for the next 2 months, and they refused the money.
Right. Well,
So
when they came
therefore-
here last time, they were seeking past due from September through November. And they were saying you owed $1,800. Since then, you're working out better because they got the clarification as to what the check they got from Sarah was for. Now they're saying that you were paid up until October, but you didn't pay anything in November. Do you have proof that you paid for November?
They didn't want it.
No, they didn't want it per the letter because you were already supposed to be vacating the property, and that was in October. This is October. They're telling you were already supposed to have vacated. They're just waiting for a court date, which the court was behind because we have the floodgates open for eviction. So they don't want to take your check because they wanted you to be out of that house by November, but you didn't vacate. And so they're entitled to a money damage because you held over. You received a notice to quit and vacate months prior to that. So I don't know if you can go back to Salvation Army and get the money to pay them for that November, but you held over the property in November. They are entitled to that money per law, okay? Okay.
But how am I supposed to pay it when I don't have a job?
That the court can't advise you. I can't tell you how you're supposed to pay your bills without a job. I work.
You see, my two.
I don't know how people pay bills without jobs.
Exactly. See, that's the reason. They know that I'm disabled. And they knew
Right.
that I was using the Salvation Army to pay my bills.
Well,
They knew that.
the Salvation Army won't assist you for the month of November?
No, and that was contingent upon them not evicting me, and they knew that.
You sent them a letter, or you tried to pay them in November. Where was the check?
The check for what?
You said you tried to pay them.
Yes. It was.
Where's that check?
They didn't want the money, so
You had money in hand?
No, I was gonna tell them I could have got the money in cash. I could have borrowed the money, but
Who was you gonna borrow the money for?
I could have borrowed the money from a friend of mine.
Well, you're gonna still have to do that to pay them because you still owe them the money. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right, so judgment in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $650 plus court costs. What were your court costs?
None, we did it ourselves.
Okay, sounds good. Judgment in favor of the plaintiff, $650. Any questions for the court?
No,
Thank you. You're all set. Can you print a judgment for me?
I see it. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. I have you.
Okay, so today's the date and time that's set for a hearing on a eviction for non-payment of rent. I attempted to have you all discuss this matter to see if you can come to a consent judgment or a conditional dismissal. But it didn't sound like that was positive or that it yielded any results. So you're looking to go forward with the hearing today, Ms. Drain?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have a legal basis for which you believe you're holding over this property?
What does that mean?
You have a legal reason for you not to vacate the person's property.
I don't know.
So what do you want a hearing for?
I guess he wants me out.
Oh,
So-
yeah, he's suing you for non-payment of rent. You're aware of that, correct?
Yes.
This complaint for non-payment dated October 12th said that at the time that this eviction was initiated, you had only paid rent through June 2022. And at the time that the eviction was initiated, you owed $2,000, and there was other money due in the amount of $2,900, $500 for board, water, and light. So has she paid any rent since then?
No, Your Honor.
Is that the truth, Ms. Strain?
Yes, because I was getting help from Sierra or something like that. I had to wait for my caseworker and, paperwork and stuff to get done and stuff like that. And I still haven't got any progress with that. So I have not paid, Miss Lady.
Okay, so you're saying you had a pending Sarah app is what you're telling the court?
Correct.
When did you apply for Sarah?
I can't remember the exact month, but it was sometime in 2022. And they had paid, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, you're
I'm
fine.
sorry.
They paid what?
They had paid some back pay, but then I had reapplied with them again as far as what he was saying, as far as paying up to June. And they said they was gonna help me pay that. Plus, they already did pay some of his board, water, and light also. St. Vincent de Paul did pay some of that also. And they said that they was gonna help pay that, but he said he didn't want to wait for all that, and so I know it's been taking a while, but he just said he didn't want to wait, so I said I'd go ahead and leave.
When you were here back in December, did you meet with our eviction diversion facilitator?
I did. They said they couldn't help me for some odd reason. I didn't understand why they said they couldn't help me, so I just went to other agencies to try to get help. Huh?
Who said they couldn't help you?
The lady that you have sent me to.
Okay, so you're probably talking about legal services, maybe?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, well, I asked about the eviction diversion facilitator.
Well, I called them and they said they couldn't help me. I mean, I don't know.
They
called me.
our eviction diversion facilitator?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Right when we got off the phone.
I don't think he got a call from you. He's here. Mr.
Maybe
Rosa?
I called the wrong person. Because that lady, I had talked to that lady, we stayed on the phone like an hour and she was asking me.
No, Our eviction diversion facilitator is definitely not a lady, so I don't know who you spoke with.
I was on the phone for like an hour. She was asking me a whole bunch of stuff.
I'm not sure who that is, ma'am. I can't speak to that. So I wanted to know if you spoke with Mr. Rosa so that he could maybe align you or verify that you had a pending application for Sarah. I'm not inclined to believe that your application for Sarah is pending.
I probably misunderstood then. Yeah, I misunderstood what
Okay.
you were telling me to do.
Do you have a
Yeah.
Sarah number?
I don't remember it. I do have one, but I don't remember it. I
Oh,
do.
okay.
I have a counselor. I can't remember his name either. But if they look it up, it's in there. They'll see my number and everything. Because I went and stood in
Okay.
line and got all that taken care of that one time when they had the at Hill place. They set me up with the Sierra people.
When was that?
You know when they had that helping with eviction thing, I stood in line for
How
like
would
an
I
hour.
know? I
I'm
wouldn't know. You gotta tell me.
I'm sorry. Well, it was at Hill, and I stood in line for a long time, and they said that you signed up for Sierra program. So I signed up for the Sierra program, and then that's when they helped me with the back rent, and then they helped me with the Board of Water Light, and they gave
And
me
I
a
wanna
case
know,
number.
which month was that, ma'am?
I don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't
Okay, so
remember.
you don't remember your Sarah number, you don't remember which month you applied, you don't remember who you spoke to. Any other evidence to support why you shouldn't be removed from the property for non-payment of rent?
No.
I'm going to rule in favor of the plaintiff in this matter. You've not provided the court any basis upon which you should hold over this property.
It's just a misunderstanding because, I mean,
It's not a misunderstanding. I asked you if you had paid any rent since June and if you had a pending application. You can't provide me with any information. Your last court date on this was over a month ago, so you had more than enough time to prepare the information that you needed. And the plaintiff does not have to allow you to stay in their property for free while you work through misunderstandings.
You're right. You are definitely right.
So we're going to grant possession to the plaintiff at this time. The writ date will be February 13th. We'll get that paperwork completed. Ms. Drain, we do have an eviction diversion facilitator here. If you'd like, I can put you in a private meeting room with them and they can still try to help you work through some paperwork to see if you can come up with the money before the 13th to pay your past due rent. He can even tell you or help you find out if you have a pending Sarah application, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to meet with him at this time?
I do.
Okay. Mr. Alosia, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you know how to, what is the rent amount that's owed at this point?
It's 7 months times 500. That will be 3,500.
3,500?
Yes.
That's a round figure. That's the amount owed to date total? How
That's
much is the rent per month?
yes, for the rent per month is $500.
Got it. What's their money damages? Okay, $3,500 owed in past due rent. And was there other money owed still for the Board of Water and Light?
Oh, yes, Your Honor, it's $29.50.
$29.50?
Yes,
Okay, that was the amount that was stated at the time of the complaint. It's still the same amount?
that's correct. There was no
Okay.
additional charges.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Drain, so you have until the 13th to pay the amount of $3,500 plus $2,950 for the Board of Water and Light in order to stay in the property, or you need to vacate by that time, okay?
Can I ask you a question? What happened to the money that they paid the Board of Water and Light to then? Why is it still 2,900 if they helped pay the Board of Water and Light? And it's on record what they paid for with the Board of Water and Light. How is it still
You're
2,900?
asking me what happened to the money?
Okay, I know what you're saying. I don't have no.
You were supposed to show me what happened if there was a payment made. I would have no idea if money was paid and who was paid it to. That would be your burden to show me. I have no idea, ma'am.
Okay.
He said he's received zero money. So unless you have any other questions for the court that the court can actually answer, I'm going to conclude the hearing. I'll put you in the meeting room with Mr. Rosa to see if you can get some assistance, okay?
Okay, sorry for everything. Thank you.
Oh, no reason to apologize. We're off the record, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Williams, my understanding is you want to proceed with the hearing today?
No, well, actually, I wasn't prepared, but if I have to, yes, I guess I have to because I was not prepared.
Well, you were told on your pretrial date, which was back on December 14th, that your date and time for hearing was today. And you
Okay,
declined to
okay.
meet with legal services at that time, so
Yes,
you
because
declined resources.
Yeah, I have resources through community mental health. All I did was ask him, could I get an extension because my daughter was killed in a drunk driver and I was hospitalized. It's just been a long road and I'm still in court with that right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, she was killed and it's just been a lot. And I asked him for maybe 30 days I could get out, I could move out then. Within.
Your Honor, may I be heard just briefly?
Well, let me call I actually didn't put the case on the record. We're on the record
okay.
in the matter of Barterville Apartments versus Michelle Rose Williams, phone number 22-02807, council appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sam Dua here on behalf of plaintiff.
Okay, and Ms. Williams is present today via
Yes.
Zoom. She does not have counsel. Prior to going into the record, she indicated that she wanted to proceed with the hearing and that she was working with community mental health to get some resources. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is it that you have? You have a pending SER application or something else?
No, I'm just my therapist. They're helping me to look for housing right now. It's just like I said, I have been through a lot with my daughter's case, and so I'm just and I don't have transportation, so I'm just working it out by myself. And yes, I can be out within 30 days if I can have that.
Okay, you wanted to.
I'm in court with
Yes.
my other case, so it's been a lot. Like I said, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, it's my understanding that based on the conversation, obviously, Ms. Williams is here to state whether this is true or not, that there's no dispute as to the amount of rent that's owed. It's just the matter that, and respectfully, because I understand that she's going through a very difficult time right now. This is a very large balance, and there's been no payment for the evidence will show that there's been no payment for quite some time.
Okay, and so she's requesting beyond the amount of the statutory time frame in order to
Yes, ma'am.
vacate.
Yeah,
Yes.
may I say something, Your Honor?
You may.
Okay, yeah, also I have I'm going through the Crime Victims Fund and also I have a civil case, but everything's just like, it's so much right now. And like I said, I can be out within 30 days, but within 10 days, I just don't see it being possible right now. You know.
Are you residing in this property?
Excuse me?
Are you currently residing in this property?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, the court, you're not giving me any lawful reason to go beyond the statutory time frame. So I didn't set the time frame for the 10 days. That's by statute, okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the only way you can get beyond that is if you were to have some level of agreement with Mr. Dua or his client as to giving you the additional time frame to vacate. But that's not something that they're in a position to do at this time. This eviction has been pending since August.
Yes, ma'am.
which is really unorthodox, and that was because the court was so backed up with evictions, it took this long to get you in court today for a hearing. You had your first court date after being notified in August that you were being evicted for non-payment of rent. You had your first court date in December. So over a month ago, you were advised that this day was coming. And
Yes,
typically you don't get this much time between a pretrial and a hearing. And so
Yes,
you had
ma'am.
more than enough time, ma'am, to put yourself in a position to vacate. So the court has no authority to give you additional time to make arrangements now to get out of the
Okay.
property unless you're providing me with a lawful reason why you need to hold over this property. Then I have to grant possession to the plaintiff, okay?
when?
Your writ date's gonna be February 13th, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Okay, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
What's the past due rent amount?
I have a judgment prepared, Your Honor.
Okay.
If you give me 2 seconds, I can approach with that.
Thank you.
Am I done, ma'am?
Give me just a moment.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay, so judgment will enter today in favor of the plaintiff.
Mhm.
For possession, you have until February 13th, 2023 to vacate the property or pay $8,510.38, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, you're all set.
Okay.
Okay, we're on the record in the matter of Z2 Holdings LLC and DS Huber Real Estate versus Andrea Hanson, file number 22-03472 LT, council appearance.
Tom Siver on behalf of the plaintiff.
Okay, and ma'am, please state your name for the record.
Andrea Hanson.
Okay, Ms. Hanson, today's the date and the time that was set for a hearing for an eviction or non-payment of rent. And you've appeared without counsel today. You've met with Mr. Cyber, counsel for the plaintiff. Mr. Cyber, was there an agreement?
No, Judge, there's no agreement. I had the manager and I had my assistant in the room. There's no agreement.
Okay, so we're proceeding to a hearing at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
this is for non-payment of rent, Mr. Cyber?
Yes, ma'am.
How much is are you stating the past due rent is for?
Jennifer, can you provide that number real quick?
$543.90 with court fees of,
$543.90?
yes, and the court fees were included in that, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. Do you dispute that that's due?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why is that?
On my lease right here and states 1.9, it says utilities. And it states right here, it says landlord and agent are responsible for providing the following utilities and services. Water, sewage services provided by LDWL and the number, snow removal, lawn care, and trash. They're paying for all that, but the water and sewage is what I've been paying. So it's under my name. I have the bills right here that are paid and everything.
Okay, is that correct, Mr. Cyber?
Judge, there was a new lease signed in November. There's been a course of dealings over the last 5 years. This defendant has paid everything. My manager's at a loss of words.
Okay.
This has
so
never been an issue brought
there
to our
was
attention.
there was a new lease signed in November?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you're alleging is what states that they're responsible for those utilities?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there a ledger that shows how this amount is due, Mr. Cyber?
Renee would have that. She's our property manager.
I have a copy also, Your Honor. I can scan it right over to you. Just give me 1 sec.
Okay, you can have a seat. We're off the record.
Okay.
What is the attorney on this one? I'm sorry?
Yeah, the Zoom call for another case.
Okay. We're back on the record in the matter of DS Huber versus Andrea Hansen. Okay, and so Ms. Hansen, your indication is that you don't owe this money because you've been paying what utilities?
The water and sewage for Border One Light.
And that amount adds up to the 530?
Oh, it adds up more than to the 530.
Okay. And who has a copy of this new lease? Although that's not the lease that was attached to this. The lease attached to this says that the landlord was responsible for that, those utilities.
Yeah.
Can I see what you have?
Yep.
Well, I have a copy of this lease, and that's what the landlord filed with this eviction. So that's the lease I'm going by, but I want to know the receipts that you show that you paid for these things.
Yes. Sorry. But February's been paid so far.
These aren't telling me that the payments were paid. These are telling me it's a bill.
This goes to one. Yeah, this is the bill that I'm paying. This is the Border One Light bill.
Okay, but it doesn't say it was paid. What, Mr. Cyber, why is she being billed for these things that her lease says was supposed to be billed to your client?
Judge, my manager would have to answer to that.
I'm sorry, this is a hearing, so you're supposed to be prepared to answer these questions.
I am, Judge, but I'm not a witness. So let's call a witness. We'll get her on the stand
Okay.
and we
Well,
can ask those questions.
Let's have you come in person. Let's reset this.
I'm not
and
a
you and your
witness.
You and your witnesses can come in person and we can handle this appropriately.
Well, we can handle it right now, Judge, but I'm not a witness.
Oh, well, we can handle it in person because when I ask a question, I don't want your witnesses just coming out of turn without being under oath. And that's how you've been running these. And I don't know why you think that that's an appropriate way to handle a hearing. So I'm going to reset this and you can appear in person. March 1st at 2:45. Did you get them a copy of these?
Judge, we're just going to dismiss without
pay it.
prejudice. We're going to convert it to a possession. Thank you.
Okay, they're dismissing. You're all set.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Since he said, because he said that when we were in the room together, basically that I'm gonna be out in 30 days.
Well, he probably is going to try to refile. He said dismiss without prejudice, so I don't know if he'll refile.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.